Hello boys and girls, this is As Guillem for this week and Champions League week. Always exciting. Real Madrid have to go to Borussia Monchengladbach. As a historical encounter. We've heard so many times of that turnaround of events in the UEFA Cup 1985. The Quinta del Buitre, the Butragueño generation, lost 5-1 in Germany and turned it all around 4-0. Creating what many called, in fact, Jorge Valdano was the first one to call it the scenic fear of the Santiago Bernabeu. In the 80s, in the mid-80s, it was a Real Madrid that did that few times, turned things around. But on the way to big successes in Europe, they always found, especially AC Milan, bigger clubs that stopped them getting further. But Borussia Monchengladbach is a historical club for many reasons. In Spain, considered a reference because coaches came from there. Either players or managers that were at Borussia Monchengladbach, like Henkes, for instance, or Udo Lattek, who of course ended up managing Barcelona and Maradona before Menotti arrived. And was a classic of the 70s, really. That decade was the best one of Borussia Monchengladbach. They finished fourth in the Bundesliga last season, the fifth at the moment. This is where they belong. They are the fifth budget in the division. Against a Real Madrid that, of course, went from 0 to 100, as they always do. Why do they do that? So they were absolutely terrible the first 45 minutes against Shakhtar Donetsk. And then against against Barcelona in the Clásico were fantastic. Why? Because I think, Real Madrid, what they do is sign good players. The philosophy is not so much how we play, but it's more how we win. And there is a smaller distance between losing badly and winning than between losing badly and winning if you have to do it via style. Because via style requires work, requires collective answers. For Real Madrid, it's more about attitude, and you know the quality of the players is there. So against Barcelona, they took advantage, especially in the last 15 minutes, of the decisions of Koeman by not getting players replaced earlier, and by adding Coutinho in the centre midfield in a 4-2-4 formation that allowed Real Madrid to find spaces at a time where everything should have been much more compact in the last 15 minutes, and they managed to score the third goal that way. As you can imagine, people are still talking about VAR. It's interesting because I am convinced, well, I know that's the rules, that if you hold somebody's shirt, that's a foul. But what I hadn't seen was previous actions in that move. And it seems to be Sergio Ramos putting the leg out, so Lenglet stumbles, that's a foul, and also pushes Lenglet, Sergio Ramos. It happens all the time, it doesn't get given, but it's the same with the shirt. It happens all the time, it doesn't get given. Once it does, you cannot argue against it because it is a foul. The problem is, I agree, there were other incidents happening before the shirt was pulled. But anyway, that's the Clásico, that's gone. Barcelona, of course, go to Turin, and so will I, for CBS, just to watch Juventus Barcelona. Let's see if, at the moment, I don't know if Cristiano Ronaldo will be taking part of it. If it does, keep an eye on an article I wrote for the BBC webpage, comparing Ronaldo and Messi in a different way. More about what they've got in common in their career. And I think it's something, an exploration I did in both books, really, in the Messi biography and then in the Ronaldo biography. But I've kind of condensed for a blog for the BBC. If Ronaldo doesn't play, we'll use that one for the return leg of that fixture. And of course, Atletico Madrid plays RB Salzburg. A lot of pace, pressure high. Atletico Madrid will have to make sure that they don't lose the ball in their build-up, which is not what their big strengths, but they need to be more efficient up front. João Felix has to give new steps forward to be the player that we think he will be. And Sevilla plays Rennes. Looking forward to see Camavinga, of course, centre midfielder, 17-18, who is just fantastic. He's so calm with the ball, passes it around. Zonzi as well, former Sevilla player, will be in the midfield for Rennes, a team that I think is 2 draws and 1 defeat in the league, but has got same points as PSG, so they're doing relatively well. And Sevilla, 2 consecutive defeats in the league, suggests that unless they score the goals. They need to score the goals because they've got everything else. And unless they score the goals, they will just not be able to match the expectations. In my eyes, they should be fighting for top 3 in La Liga. And in the Champions League, they should go certainly past the group stage. Anyway, questions that I've got from you. There's all kinds of questions, very good ones. The first one, it's from Obeni Ukasha, who says, "Good day. I wish you have a productive week ahead, and I hope you do as well. I've been asking myself this question: what truly is Barcelona's problem? I've heard some say coaches, Bartomeu, Messi, or the players. I think we are missing something." What a question to start with. Barcelona in 2015, when they were so successful with Luis Enrique, winning the Champions League as well, they should have started making decisions that helped to continue to be at the top. And they should have read the situation. The situation is Barcelona, Madrid, Juventus, they cannot fight in the market with the club states, those that like PSG or Manchester City. You've got that clear, and Real Madrid have got clear for a while. So how do you compete in a market that's becoming more difficult to compete in? Well, in the case of Juventus, they decided to mix best players in Serie A with players finishing contracts and making some risky decisions that way. In the case of Real Madrid, young players, and they hope that they can become players that are worth 3 times more what they pay for them, and also be efficient for them to help them maintain the level, because at the moment they're still living on the group that has been so successful for them in the last 5-6 years, the Kroos, the Modric, the Sergio Ramos, etc. Barcelona, I don't know. I don't know what they didn't analyze the situation well. Of course, there is a change of generation now. You've got, we've said it many times, from the young, Araujo, Ansu Fati, you've got Trincao, Serginho Dest, Pedri, all those guys are still not good enough in their own to actually help Barcelona to win all the titles. But they are competitive enough and they're very useful, so it will help them in the future. But they've wasted time. They wasted time to renew the squad, to renew the cost of the squad, and that has meant that they are hamstrung. They cannot go and get the players that they need. They couldn't even get Depay. They couldn't pay for Depay. He may arrive in January, but they couldn't pay for that. Or for Eric Garcia. In the past, it would have been, we need him, come over. Well, it hasn't happened. And now they go to Turin with 2 centre-backs only, because Umtiti is still injured, and of course Gerard Piqué is suspended. So it's about vision, it's about not being brave enough, and it's not so much the information that the directors of football have been given, which has been good, is to take decisions. You go further up the chain, and that has not happened. The power of the players has meant that some of the decisions that had to be made, that they kind of didn't help them happen quick enough. And of course, the money from Neymar was badly spent. There's all that, and it will be very difficult for Barcelona to turn that around. We'll talk more on that based on the question that you put forward. Suvarish says, as of right now, which potential candidate has the best chance of winning the elections at Barcelona, and how much is there a chance that the new president will be able to convince Messi to stay? Messi to stay, it will be down to the project. If it's one that makes him happy, makes him look forward to it, maybe the return of Xavi that Victor Font will produce. Let's see what Laporta does, because he's got a good feeling with Messi, but we don't know what's going to happen. There is a lot of candidates. There's favourites in my eyes, Victor Font, with a clear modern vision of what Barcelona should be, and a brave one as well. One that will require big efforts, and one that may actually be hamstrung as well by the decisions being made by the board now that does not want to leave. Even though, they tried to stop the vote of no confidence, now they try to delay the consequences of the vote of no confidence. They tried to stop, they've been trying to slow things down, so it takes us to March, which is when the elections have been called up. And that means basically that whoever comes in will be affected, because decisions that have been taken now will be carried on in the following seasons, and that will have a financial effect. For instance, how you pay the wages of the players if you're actually reducing them now, because they won't be cut, they will be spread out through more contracts, through longer contracts, as we've seen already with, with the Young and with Ter Stegen and Lenglet and Piqué. There will be more of that, but that affects the next board as well. So whoever comes in, they're going to have a while to implement everything they want to. This Barcelona side is still got to be low, go down a bit more before it actually goes up. And that's why I think the likes of Messi wanted to avoid is at the end of his career. But we don't know if he's going to stay or not. We'll have to wait. Patrick is asking who you think will win the elections, Fon or Laporta. They're the main candidates, but we don't know. And of course, what may happen is that the other candidates may just join forces with either of them, or maybe even Victor Fon and Laporta will join forces. I know that both denying it, but let's see how it all evolves. First of all, let's see when the vote of confidence will take place. If it's going to be soon, the 1st or the 2nd of November, as the rules of the club say, or if Barcelona manage to delay it another 15 days. There's a bit of a conflict between the Catalan government and Barcelona, and at the back of it, obviously, there are two different ways of suggesting what should happen next. At the back of it, what Bartomeu is defending is that he doesn't want political influence to take over these elections, or to take over this vote of confidence, or to be the main force of this energy that's coming against him. That he thinks there is political intentions behind it. In any case, it's all a mess. Dinesh, a couple of questions. Will things improve for Messi? Because like this, I find it hard for him to even score 15-20 goals on all competitions. Good point. Because in the Clásico, you could see that he spent 3/4 of the time as a 10, and he did very well passing the ball for Jordi Alba, that then became the goal of Barcelona with Ansu Fati. But you want him closer to the box, don't you? This Messi, as you saw in that dribble that he did with his body only to Sergio Ramos inside the box, can still create a lot of havoc near the box. He can do very well the Xavi role, if you like, but he should be closer to the box. And I think there is no harmony in the way that the front four are playing. Maybe if they were playing regularly, or 1 month's pass, we'll see a better relationship between them. But there's still no place for Griezmann. Coutinho now is injured for 3 weeks. Pedri disappeared from the Clásico. De Jong is not linking up well at the moment. He's very ineffective. And Messi is still trying to find his feet, and sometimes it's interesting because Ansu Fati, the one that really is affecting games positively, is using some of the space from Messi. So there's going to have to be a humbleness from everybody to share space and importance, and for that to happen, we require time. Barcelona fans will have to give Koeman more time. Dinesh is also asking what's happening with Pedri. Nothing. The man just made his debut in the Clásico. 17-year-old. Give him time to progress. Ronnie and Ramage on Code says, what is the most effective way of marinating tofu? Do you know, I could tell you, but what I'll tell you is leave it more than 15 minutes marinating, because actually that's what makes it more flavoursome. So that will be my recommendation anyway. Wayark, with the absence of Coutinho, do you think this gives an opportunity to Griezmann to play more centrally? You would think so, but in a Clásico, it was a good opportunity to say he can play in the Pedri role, but Pedri was chosen. So Koeman doesn't see Griezmann to affect the game at all. The only role I think he sees is central, yes, but perhaps as a 9 to open up spaces for others. And there's a mixture of things happening. He does that, he makes runs in behind, but he doesn't get seen. But he makes the wrong runs in behind, because he does it when, Sergi Roberto is running with the ball. He'll never give you the ball there. You have to wait for the right player to give you the right pass at the right time. And that's the lack of harmony that we're seeing that is happening. Last one, I think. Mugombi Special says, is Ozil's omission from the squad truly a football case, or there is something beyond that. It's really hard to believe Ozil can find a place in a 25-man squad. Invincible answers for me, or well, answers his opinion, says beyond that, 1, he's Muslim, 2, made a statement against China supporting Uyghurs. He played about 15 games after that. So I know that he is using it as an excuse to say, look, I think they're getting rid of me because of this. I don't believe that. If that was the reason, all the years I've spoken to Mikel Arteta would have been in vain, because it would have been like, all these years since he was a player and now a manager, it's a different person. If he does it for political reasons, it's not the person I thought he was. Which says to me that it's not for political reasons, it's sport reasons. Now, you say, can I find a place in a 25-man squad? Well, he's not a right back, he's not a centre back, he's not a centre midfielder, he's not a winger, he's not a striker. He can play as a 10. And in the way that Arteta plays, there's only 2 or 3 players that can play there in the squad that they've got, and it's considered that Ozil is not one of them. Why? Because I think when he's been given the opportunity, he hasn't taken it. In training, I'm sure, because that's why you really give you worth, show your worth, I'm sure he's not doing that. Sometimes teams have got 1 or 2 players that affect the atmosphere, and it's best to get rid of it. It really is. I've got so many examples throughout the years. I mean, I don't know, go back to Barcelona, for instance, when Pep Guardiola arrived. He wanted Samuel Eto'o gone. Still waited 1 more year because the player said, no, but he's going to give his goals, and he was very important in that first year for Pep Guardiola, but then he got rid of him because he felt that harmony wasn't found if he was there. Same reason why Ronaldinho, Deco, Mota had to leave when Pep Guardiola arrived. But there is so many examples. Football is not about tactics, mostly. It's about creating a group that believe in the leader, and then they can go together to get to maximize the potential. And with Ozil, that wasn't happening last year and this year. So, best thing is to move him aside. And I know that Arsenal fans will find other reasons for this, and of course he's playing with it, isn't he? He's just throwing out there the suggestion that, and his agent too, that is something else. Well, I find that poor. I find that instead he should look at the mirror and say, why am I not wanted by the previous 2 managers? Why did Real Madrid let me go? And why haven't I fulfilled the potential that I have? Those are the answers, the questions he's got to answer himself. Meanwhile, I would say Arsenal fans, don't get yourself manipulated. Just try to understand why decisions have been made. And if you trust a manager that is taking the first steps into his managerial career, do you think he will actually let himself be influenced by political reasons or from people at the top? Because if you do that now, that's it. Forever, you will be seen as the guy that did that, and any club that wants you will be thinking, we can manipulate it. I know what I believe and what I think. I've told you, and it's up to you what you think. Meanwhile, that's it for now, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.